What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're covering some more r/am I the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below, but if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. As I always say, it massively helps out our channel, it really does. And if you want to support the channel, you can by clicking that join button down below or clicking the Patreon link in the description. Again, really helps. And just like these people did, we had Flame Lily with the rejoin yesterday, and we also had Sam C-Star. Thank you so much for your support and for everyone for taking the time out of your day to be here. It really means the world. And with that being said, let's crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. And we're going to start off with a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for telling my co-worker my partner is not her child's father? I'm 29 male, my partner is 25 male, and my co-worker is about 22 female. My co-worker, who I'll call Tiffany, is one of those likable but flaky people. She's nice, but she's a bit of an airhead. Tiffany got unexpectedly pregnant a year before we started working together, and the father is not involved. I know this because tends to make vent posts on social media that are open to anyone who's following her. She posts a lot about issues with her kid because her kid has a disability. My partner loves kids. He's a social worker and he's raised his siblings growing up. I think his ideal family would be the Brady Bunch. I don't want kids, so we compromised by getting a dog. He saw one of her posts 3 days ago and DM'd her telling her that he's helped kids with her kid's disability and he'd be happy to give her some advice. Since then, he's been very involved with her life and her kid's life. Pre-quarantine, he would go over all the time and help out, and stay on the phone with her when she was having a crisis. I never had any problem with it because her kid has a lot of issues and I know Tiffany was drowning in it. I also want to say that I've never been jealous at all because although my partner also likes women, he's bisexual, he's just like this. Anyway, during quarantine the relationship has started to annoy me more. Tiffany and her kid will FaceTime my partner while we're watching a movie so he can tell the kid a bedtime story. He'll tell me that he misses seeing Tiffany and the kid because they're like family to him. When we finally went back to work yesterday, Tiffany told me how much her child misses my partner and how all the things he's been doing for them have been really getting them through the hard times. I agreed that what my partner was doing was nice, but then I told her that if her kid is missing him, the relationship is starting to get unhealthy. My partner is not your child's father and he shouldn't be taking that place in their life. I told my partner and he said I was being a dick. He said that the kid could only benefit from having a good male role model, and if this kid sees him as a father figure, there's nothing wrong with that. He also apologized to Tiffany. I don't really see what I did was wrong. Creating boundaries is important. Am I the arsehole? Edit, I'm noticing a lot of confusion. So I'll say here, I'm a man, my partner's a bisexual man, and Tiffany is a woman. It's in the first line, but I think a lot of people are confused because I keep seeing her used in reference to me and people calling my partner gay. Now I know, because I've read so many posts, I know where Reddit's going to go with this one straight away. I guarantee you, the second paragraph where it says, my partner loves kids, he's a social worker, and he raised his siblings growing up. I think his ideal family would be the Brady Bunch, and I don't want kids. Now, obviously, that's huge red flags, of course. Because, you know, you're just incompatible straight away there, and you compromise by getting a dog. A dog is never going to replace children. I mean, everyone loves dogs, right? But they're not going to replace children, let's face it. And there was such an easier way to go about this rather than, you know, go behind your partner's back and say to her, look, you're crossing boundaries here. There was just the wrong way to go about it. You should have been speaking to your partner way before all this happened and expressing your feelings that you're uncomfortable with the situation. And then your partner could have created those boundaries with Tiffany right there and then, and they could have still maybe had some relationship going on, you know, and helping her out whilst you'll be happy at the same time. But instead, you went behind their back, you basically shit on everyone, and now everyone's unhappy. But I can see this relationship, man, it just doesn't bode well with me that one wants kids, one doesn't, and one you said is like, almost sounds like desperate for children. They would like to have a Brady Bunch type of family, whereas you wouldn't. It doesn't sit right, does it really? It doesn't sound like it's going to end very well. But as I said, let's check out some of the comments and I guarantee you what's going to happen. Bonnie Bluer says, yikes. This seems to be about way more than Tiffany and her kid. Your husband wants kids and you don't, so you compromise by getting a dog. If your husband wants kids, he's never going to stop wanting them and it will probably lead to him resenting you. You guys aren't on the same page at all. Edit, forgot to add a judgment. At this point I'd say you're the arsehole. And Globe Wanderer says, here's the thing, a compromise for someone who wants a lot of children is not dogs, lol. He wants children, you don't. He's getting fulfilled from Tiffany and her kid, not with you and your dog. I don't see your relationship lasting. Look long and deep at this. You're the arsehole. And Kombucha Enema says, not the arsehole for wanting boundaries, but I have a feeling your relationship is going to fail. Your partner wants kids and having a dog is not going to fix that. The fact that he is so easily getting attached to someone else's kid is a sign he's not going to be happy with a childless relationship for the rest of his life. It baffles me how couples can disagree on something as huge as having children and still think the relationship will work. If you want a stable relationship, you need to agree on 3 things: money, sex, and kids. You two need to sit down and have a long talk. And Blonde Potato says, I would say everyone sucks here because you tried to stop a moving train way too late and didn't talk to your partner first about it. Your partner basically started a second family, one with a child involved. What started as, I can give advice, I know things, might have turned into a whole different thing, and you either didn't notice or didn't care because your focus would be, he's not cheating / I'm not jealous, but you didn't see he was having another family. It's a slight arsehole-ness though. I would give your partner the benefit of the doubt that he didn't start a second family on purpose. That sounds like an arrangement that needs to be discussed. He wouldn't mind being the kid's father figure. I would find that alarming if I was firm to have no kids. Side note, you do not compromise on a pet when you discuss kids / no kids. That is not the same and never will fill the child-shaped hole in someone's heart. Now, I turn this one to you guys. What would you do in this situation? Do you think this relationship will last? Do you think there's a chance that they can, come together when one wants kids and one doesn't? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And our next story is from another throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for refusing to cover my eye when a parent insisted I do so on the bus? Hello, this happened yesterday and I keep thinking about it, not really knowing whether I handled the situation properly. I, 29 male, had an accident at work which resulted in my left eye becoming damaged. I wear an eye patch in public, especially when using public transportation. Though I hate public transportation because I meet people who tend to openly be disrespectful and mean. However, when I use the bus and when there's kids on it who approach me all the time and ask if I'm actually a pirate, I try to cheer them up, make a fool of myself and talk like a pirate and say things like "Arr" or "Ahoy matey" and have fun. They greet me before getting off the bus and I playfully reply by saying, I'm James Hook, nice to meet you. I can't remember how many little friends I've made so far. There are many which I think is cool. I never really thought anything but positive would come out of this situation. But I was wrong. Now the issue, my eye has been itching all week. I used an ointment and the doctor told me to not cover it all the time. So yesterday I didn't put on my eye patch. I need to mention that my left eye is almost closed and I have no control over it as it's been like this since the accident. So it's not like it looked terrifying or anything. Anyway, a 40-something dad gets on the bus with his son and gives me weird looks. Then he starts huffing and puffing. I paid him no attention, I just remained in my seat. He then asked me if I had something to cover my eye with because he thought it was making his son uncomfortable. I ignored him, but he kept asking me annoying questions, hinting that any injured eye needs to be covered, especially in public. I put up with it as long as I could. He raised his voice demanding that I either cover my eye or get off the bus because at that point, not only was I making his son uncomfortable, but him and everybody else as well, according to him. I lashed out at him and told him to stop being a fucking jerk and told him to get out of my face if he felt uncomfortable looking at my eye. Everyone was staring at me and that's when I thought I might have said something wrong. Those remaining 15 minutes felt like an eternity. That set the tone for the rest of the day. I felt awful and couldn't focus on work. Firstly, gotta say, I'm so sorry someone ruined your day with their shitty behaviour. I hate it when people do that, the slightest little comment can absolutely trash your day and I'm exactly like that too. So, I don't get it. What are you meant to do? Apologise for just existing now? Because you got an injury, somehow this is your fault. Don't frickin' look at him if you don't like it. It's that simple. This reminds me of a post from Entitled Parents, man. It's bringing me back those vibes again. We had one yesterday that was very, very similar. Well, not similar story, but, Entitled Parents vibes coming in. And it really is that simple. If the person doesn't like it, just don't look. Don't be bloody rude to someone who's already injured and going through some stuff, man. I don't get it. Why do people lack such empathy? Not everyone, obviously, but these people who think that they can judge others and think, oh yeah, you need to cover your eye up because my son doesn't like it. No, just look away. Wow. Anyway, let's take a look at some of the comments. Moose Planer says, not the arsehole. If it makes him uncomfortable, he could always not look. The entitlement of some people, I swear. I think people were quiet because they were uncomfortable with the interaction and too polite to confront him. Anyone else uncomfortable with your eye had the good sense to let you live your life and just look elsewhere. And Toxic Dollhouse says, not the arsehole. It's disgusting that you would even think that harassing someone about their injury/disability at all, especially in public, is a good thing to teach his kid. My opinion, he should have been kicked off the bus. I'm sorry that no one stood up for you, because I would have. Jenny Islander says, not the arsehole. All he had to do was not look, and tell his son it was not polite to look. If I were you, I'd look into having business cards printed for when it was safe to hand things out to people again. Something like, hi, I can't see out my left eye. My doctor has directed me not to keep my eye covered at all times. If this makes you uncomfortable, you have the power to look away. I will not discuss my left eye with you, and I will not apologise for looking different. It is your responsibility to control your own reaction and to teach your children that differences exist and are not bad. Thank you and have a nice day. ETA, I mean, if you hand those out, the huffy, snorty, how dare you, visibly impaired, that makes me uncomfy, why won't you vanish types will still be the huffy, snorty, etc. But you won't have to use your precious energy actually talking to them. Just smile like they're stupid and point to the card. I have significant visible differences that have led to young jerks surreptitiously taking my photo at least once. I haven't yet got to the point of making cards, but I daydream about it. And I kind of put myself in that person's shoes, like, you know, with their eye visually impaired and sat on that bus and feeling very awkward and everyone around not being able to help. I know it's very difficult to stand up for people sometimes, and even when you do, some people around you will still look at you like you're absolutely mad in doing so. I remember when I was, and I'm not doing this like, oh, Mr. Hero type guy, because I'm not sure, it didn't end well. I remember when I was about, I think it was 13 or 14, and it was on this field next to the ice rink. I was riding my bike across there and I saw this man with a dog, and it was all normal. And then he started lifting the dog up by his collar and yanking it forwards and backwards. And there was loads of people on the field and no one was doing anything. And I was in tears seeing this dog doing it, and in the end I kept my distance because this guy was huge compared to me. I mean, he would have killed me. But I shouted at him, and I remember saying, leave the fucking dog alone, leave the fucking dog alone. And I was sort of like circling him like some mad shark going on, and I was just shouting him at the same time, and he just sort of tried dragging the dog away, and the dog was pulling against him, and there was nothing I could do, and people were just staring at me like I was absolutely bonkers. I mean, I probably did look bonkers the way I was doing it, riding in circles around this guy, shouting at him, but at the same, I couldn't feel there was anything else I could do. I eventually went to the phone box. Yes, this is a time where there was phone boxes. I rode to the phone box and called the police, and I don't know if anything else happened because I had to get home. But it still kills me to this day that I couldn't do anything else. I felt powerless. I mean, I could have went and tried to grab the dog, but the dog might have bit me. But I do remember the feelings in that, being powerless and everyone looking around you and feeling so self-conscious, because, you know, I was so shy. I'm a pretty introverted guy now, but I was so extremely shy back then, you know, shouting out to people. It took a lot to come out of me, but to see that, it really triggered something inside me. And when I did shout, I felt really good at the time, but then I remember looking around and seeing all these people like looking at me like thinking I'm absolutely mad and doing nothing themselves. You know, adults sat there watching this dog get yanked about by its collar, and I could do nothing apart from call the police. And I still feel like shit to this day. I think, you know, the dog probably isn't alive now. I mean, this is some years ago. But I think, what life did that dog have? And could I have done anything else? And it's just like, oh man. Again, I've gone off on one. I do apologize. And we shall move on to the next story. And our next story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for ending my daughter's birthday dinner because she called me and my wife unethical? I, 61 male, have been married to my wife, 31 female, for 3 years. Whoa. Around summertime 2020, she started saying that she had for the longest time thought she would be okay as a child-free person, but she'd been feeling this unbearable itch to have a child she can call her own. She said she's never felt as unfulfilled as she does now, and that she doesn't want to be the only one of her friends who dies without a legacy. She discovered that she was pregnant 2 months ago and was so excited she cried. My daughter, 29 female, and I have birthdays 1 week apart, so we invited her over to a joint birthday dinner at our house. We saw it as a good chance to break the news that she was going to have a new half-sibling. When my daughter and her soon-to-be husband had taken their seats, I broke the news to them. An awkward silence descended and my daughter crossed her arms across her chest and said, wow, I can't be anything other than shocked right now. Her boyfriend interjected an awkward congratulations. My wife was really upset and asked my daughter to elaborate why it was too much to just be happy for us. My daughter said, "Dad, you know you're not 31 anymore. God, you barely chased me and her brother around, and you're going to do that now. I mean, have you thought about your graduations? I'm sure the wedding age will be 35 2 decades from now." When her boyfriend tried to interject, her voice rose and said, "No, I cannot feel bad for my half-sibling. I'm going to get attached and then have to deal with college kid being depressed that their friends' dads are young." She started crying and called both of us unethical as hell for doing this. She excused herself to the bathroom and my wife looked extremely upset. I realised I couldn't sit through a dinner after she insulted both of us when my wife was already stressed from her pregnancy because of gestational diabetes runs in her family. When my daughter came back and said, "Could we talk about something else?" I said I think it's better if we end the dinner then. She got mad and said she cannot believe I'm kicking her out for speaking her mind. She protested and said she wanted to stay and celebrate our birthdays, but I insisted that she leave. She said thanks for ruining the night and her birthday next week. Am I the arsehole for ending birthday celebrations for both of us? Because a lot of things that were said was offensive and too emotionally charged. Her boyfriend seemed relieved. Wow, I'm sort of struggling with this one because I was looking at it and the daughter is only 3 years younger than the wife in the situation, and he's 30 years older, and they're deciding to have children now. And it's really hard just not to look past that age gap. Well, we look at, you broke this news at the dinner table that, you know, this woman who's 30 years younger than the father, and they come out and say they're pregnant. If I was in that position, the daughter's position at that stage, I think I would be shocked too. If my dad turned around and said that to me, I'd be like, what the fuck, man? And there would be instant questions going around in my head like, what life is this child going to have? Like, and it feels like one of those ones where I could comment either way and I'm just going to get torn to shreds in my comments. But this doesn't sit right with me at all, and I'm just going to say, you're the arsehole for bringing this out at the dinner table and expecting your daughter to just be happy with it, you know, and not have any emotions whatsoever. Because if I was in that position, I'd be shocked as fuck too, and I'd be really concerned. But Swing Mad says, edit after information, you're the arsehole. You've married someone who's close in age to your daughter, which is already difficult enough. Now your daughter has to watch her new half-sibling grow up with her similar age stepmother and a geriatric father. It's understandable that she would be dismayed and shocked by this news, and you shouldn't have sprung it on her at dinner as a whole group. You don't expect full support on all your life decisions when you make choices like this. Formerly info, how old is your wife? And Arizona Karenina says, here's the thing, your daughter makes valid points. This one might be above Am I the Arsehole's pay grade, but your daughter's concerns are valid, and her birthday party was not the time or place to reveal this. You're the arsehole. And Anime Bowie says, TFW, half these comments are missing the fact that the 61-year-old married a 31-year-old who is just 2 years older than his 29-year-old daughter. If I was her and heard I was going to have a sibling with those age differences, I'd be upset too. Some comments have already said it, but having babies at that age increases the risk of them having issues, and I feel what your daughter said was purely out of concern and shock. I hate saying it, but you're the arsehole. Edit, I'm talking about the father being old, not the mum. For the one and any future confused commenters, his current wife was 3 when his daughter was born. If that doesn't make you panic at least a little, I don't know what will. And S01 says, in quotes, I, 61 male, have been married to my wife, 31 female. And then says, ew, what the fuck? Also, your daughter is right. You and your wife are selfish assholes. By the time your new child is a teenager, you'll be pushing 80. You're the arsehole. And Robot428 says, you're the arsehole. You had to know this news might not be entirely good news for her. Getting a sibling at 29 is a lot to take in. Your father having a baby with someone 2 years older than you is a lot to take in. So, in my opinion, you're the arsehole for telling her at her birthday dinner, which should have been a day to celebrate with her. You're the arsehole for expecting her to immediately be 100% happy without any other emotions or concerns. You're the arsehole for telling her in front of your wife, her having a mixed or negative reaction wouldn't have caused any harm if it had just been the two of you. And you're the arsehole for judging her so harshly based on her initial reaction to the news, rather than judging her based on how she chooses to act once she has the time to process and ask questions. Now, I turn this one to you guys. What do you think of this situation, and how would you feel if you was in the daughter's shoes? Let us know in the comments below. And our next story comes from WeissBO, I think. Am I the arsehole for turning off our debit card when my husband left for work this morning? My husband is a smoker. Due to trying to save money, I made him start buying bags of tobacco and tubes to roll cigarettes versus buying packs because it is far cheaper. He refuses to quit. He was spending $240 plus on cigarettes a month versus the $50 he could be spending on rolling. At first he was good about it and was rolling his cigarettes. If he didn't want to roll because it is tedious, I would roll for him. However, I got fed up with that myself because I don't smoke and I simply don't want to do it. So I stopped. Around that time he would forget to roll his cigarettes and start buying packs after leaving for work in the morning. The closest store is 8 miles away, right beside his work. Now I get text alerts on our debit card and I also have a finances tracker. Within the past week and a half, he has purchased $80 worth of cigarettes when we have a half bag of tobacco sitting on our house. I brought it up because we can't really afford this, in my eyes, and he claims he just forgets to roll them and realizes after he's left the house. Knowing that sometimes habits are hard to break and that it could just be hard to adjust to having to roll, I started reminding him to make sure he didn't just forget. Some days he would immediately start rolling once reminded, but other days he would say, "Shit, thanks for reminding me," and then didn't roll any. This morning, I reminded him to roll cigarettes. I even started rolling them myself, even though I fucking hate it. I rolled about 4 of them before needing to jump in the shower myself for work. When I got out, I noticed the cigarettes I rolled sitting on the counter. So I went into our bank app and shut off our debit card, knowing full well I would be getting a text alert within 10 minutes stating he purchased cigarettes. He doesn't have a bank app on his phone, and even if he did, he probably wouldn't know how to use it. As expected, I get a phone call 15 minutes later asking why the card wasn't working. So I said, "I've explained to you multiple times that you need to roll cigarettes. If it takes me turning off the debit card to make you understand that, then so be it." He tried claiming he needed gas. I filled the tank 4 days ago, so that's a lie. So I responded with, "I will just roll you some fucking cigarettes and drop them off in my car on the way through." He told me not to bother and told me that I was being a controlling bitch and that we really had no need to save money as I think we do. He's got a point, as we do have large savings, but I'm trying to save up for retirement, 15 years, so we can live comfortably after we stop working. Am I the arsehole? Now, I think this is one of those ones where conversation has to happen again and setting those budgets, and saying, this is the amount you have in your budget for your cigarettes. If you want to spend, you spend that how you like, and once that's out, then that's down to you. But I think controlling the money by stopping debit cards and stuff like that, it does come across as a bit shady behavior in my opinion. I know, because we've seen it before, and I often make these comments, when people control the money, it's never gonna end well doing that. It's not the best way forward in my opinion. And if you two can't sit down and have a simple conversation to set this problem straight, then there's deeper things at play here. It's as simple as that, right? But at the same time, I can't blame OP for wanting to save for retirement. From the last line in this story where it says they're saving up for retirement so they can live comfortably, and I think later in the comments it does say that they're around 50 odd years old, so that's very important to save that money for those purposes. And they may be living comfortably now, but will they in retirement if they carry on down this road? And again, cutting off money when he's the one earning that money too, it just needs a conversation, and everyone sucks here just simply because of that. You need to sit down, you need to set those budgets, and you need to talk like 2 adults to sort the situation out. Otherwise, it's not going to solve itself, is it? Controlling each other's behavior will only lead to bad things. We know that many times over on these posts. But Jam Fry says, everyone sucks here. Your husband should really be more thoughtful and willing to save money by just rolling cigarettes if that's important to you, and it's just responsible. However, it is incredibly controlling to shut off access to a debit card. He's a grown man, not a 16-year-old. You guys have some communicating to do. And OP does reply saying, I can agree with this. Thank you for your feedback. And Dashcam Kitty says, everyone sucks here. You're being controlling about money. What if he genuinely needed to use the card? Equally, he's frittering away money because he's too lazy to roll up his cigarettes. Maybe you each need to have a certain amount of pocket money each week to spend and leave the cards at home. And OP replies, not a bad idea at all. Thank you for this advice. And I was just thinking, surely there's got to be some sort of device you can buy to roll cigarettes for you. Not just your hands, obviously. Don't give me that. There's got to be some sort of device on Amazon or something. There usually is. I don't know. I'm not a smoker. Don't hate me for it. But hey, Hazel Bone says everyone sucks here because he agreed to roll his own cigs. But damn, turning off people's debit cards is pretty wild. If it comes down to this, there are other problems at hand. For the record, he can't not allow you to separate your finances. Change the account your paychecks go into. Boom. Done. And Way says everyone sucks here. Edit to change my verdict based on further info revealed by OP. Everyone in this situation is acting like an arsehole. You are infantizing your husband. If you two of you cannot agree upon and stick to a reasonable joint financial plan, then separate your finances like grown-ups and instead of treating him like your wayward, annoying son. An OP replies saying, I've tried separating the finances and he won't allow it, claims there is no need, and where I am technically on his bank, per his wishes, I need his signature to remove myself. Now, I turn this one to you guys. What do you think of this situation and how would you deal with it? Let me know in the comments below. Once again, guys, thank you for being here today. Thank you for taking the time out of your days to listen to a story or two with me. It really, really does mean the world. Love seeing your comments, love getting you involved. It's just absolutely amazing. I'm having a great time. And if you want to support the channel further, you can by clicking that join button down below for YouTube membership or heading on over to Patreon and joining up there. You know, it's amazing for what you're doing. As I said, I'm going part-time very soon. Scary, scary stuff. So you doing what you do really helps me. Thank you so much. And with that being said, spin on my chair. 1 sec. Whee! Thanks for being here. Much love, guys.